Hi, I'm Michael. I'm from Amazing Skills, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to my friend William.
Hey, my name is William. I also work with Amazing Skills, and I'm a neurodivergent person who has a diagnosis of autism.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here. Because today, what we're looking at is what parents can do to make the first day of school a bit easier for their kids.
Mm,
If you're someone with autism and you're going to a new school, new teacher, new classroom, different friends, that's a lot to take in. William, before we look at some of the things that we recommend for parents, what was your experience when you went to school on the first day each year? Like, what did your parents do to set you up to succeed?
um, well, I mean, there's lots of different first days, isn't there, Michael? Because there's the first day ever, which obviously is, I think it's scary for everyone, not just neurodivergent people.
It is scary. Is your mic where you want it, or is it just checking
Sorry,
it's working? Is your mic doing its thing, or is all right? Try that. Sorry. So
all
the
good.
first day is scary for everyone. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I think it can be. I remember when I first went to school, like primary school. I've been to kindy and stuff beforehand, so I've kind of like felt out what it's like to be in a place with people you don't know. But I remember kind of aimlessly wandering around a little bit on my first day until my teacher kind of came down and introduced me to some people. So that was really helpful.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, it's interesting you say that. Wandering out aimlessly, teacher came and sort of rescued you.
Yeah.
Is there something your parents did behind the scenes to alert your teacher to the fact that you might need someone to help you, or was it just quality teachers who cared?
Well, I think it was probably a mix of both, Michael. My mum was always looking out for me in primary school, and she probably did a bunch of stuff for me that I didn't even get to see. So I definitely think having a word with the teacher and letting them know is always a good start. Um, how about you? You've worked with children in schools before. Have you found that a lot of parents come to you and let you know?
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about primary school first, then high school. So as a primary school teacher, most primary school teachers reassure parents, oh, it's all good. I've got all the notes on your child from so and so last year. They do, but they've never read them,
Mm,
so it's no real benefit. What teachers need in primary school, the your the parent to do is to actually book an appointment, go and have a quick chat with them. Okay,
mm.
15-minute chat. Here's what helps my son. Here's what doesn't help my son. Here are his triggers. Okay, here's how you know that he's about to melt down. Here are the things that are really going to make it hard for him. And here are some strategies that have worked in the past, and to work out a safe place where he can go when things don't work.
And I think something I noticed about what you said there is just book a quick 15-minute appointment. So I've done a course in teaching, and something I noticed in my pracs was that teachers are really time poor. So what I kind of hear you saying is make it some time to go and talk to the teacher, but don't do it so often that you become a bit of a nuisance.
That's right. Like catch them the week before school starts. They'll say, "Oh, we don't do it then." It's like, no, no, my son's got autism, and you and I need to have a chat because otherwise, you're going to have a hard year, and so is he. Like,
Mm.
we want to make it easy. The other thing is and when you chat with them, don't try and catch them on the first day of school. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
Never try and catch them before school. That's never going to work. Book an appointment and book it. And the other thing is when you have a chat with the teacher, then go home and write all the dot points of what you said and send it to them, CC and their boss.
Mm.
Done. Because if the teacher knows ahead of time what the day one of school's like, we're good. Okay, so that's primary school. And then high school, William, what do you remember, being on the spectrum yourself, going to year 8, to year 9, to year 10 at the start of each year? What could your parents have done to have made your life easier, and what did work?
Well, I think for me, I remember on my first day of high school, even though I knew a whole bunch of people from primary school. So my school had a primary school and a high school. So I graduated up with a lot of the people, but there was still they added like 200 or so people who I didn't know. And so I almost had that primary school feeling that I had on day one of primary school, where I was like, oh no, who do I talk to? But what was really helpful is during my primary school, I'd gone and done a few social skills courses. So I kind of had learned how to approach people and how to interact with them kind of by myself. So instead of needing rescue in high school or needing that extra support, I was kind of able to go and start those conversations because of what I had learned previously. So I guess what I would say is the best way to prepare your young person for the first day of school is to kind of prepare them for life. Starting a new day of school is very, very similar to going to like a social group for the first time or something along those lines. Have you ever had any experience with people in high school in their first days?
I have. I'm loving what you're saying that, okay, when you went to day one of school in year 2, year 3, year 4, you needed rescuing. By the time you got to high school, you'd built up skills because your parents had equipped you with some social skills courses that, you know, were what you needed at the time. And if we're honest, those social skills courses would have been less effective than what we do now in the world, because now we've got like all these extra couple of decades of research on what would help you, you know, and yet even as basic as they were, they still gave you what you needed that you could go to high school and thrive. Like, that's really cool. I think when parents are trying to help their kids get ready for the first day of school, I think it's for high school, parents get this idea that, oh, the high school teachers don't want to talk to me, or maybe my child doesn't need me as much. It's like, you know what? Your child needs you to advocate more than ever before, because instead of having one teacher, we've got 6. And you know what? Of those 6, half will be great, half will be rubbish in most schools. And so we need, again, that written document to be emailed to all 6 of those teachers and then followed up. Did you get a chance to see my email yesterday? Here it is again below. Because most high school teachers are, your child's not one of 30 anymore. Your child's one of 200 to that teacher. They don't even know your child's name till Easter. Let's be real, you know. Yeah. What's going through your head, William?
Like I worked as a chaplain for a little bit. And I found in that role, something I noticed a lot about teachers that they found really helpful was just having that open mind with parents. So I really like what you're saying about the email, because sending that email, one, give them the information, but 2, they can then refer back to that. And if there's something they're concerned about or something they need help with, they can then email you straight away without having to like go through a book and find your name.
That's right.
Which I think that open line is really helpful as well.
It is, but they probably won't. Like they can, but they won't, because they've got 199 other students if they're a high school teacher. So that's where you want to send a follow-up email 2 weeks later. Hey, I remember I sent this to you 2 weeks ago. I've slightly updated it for you for this year. Because what you're doing is just in their face. Remember this, remember this, remember this, because you need to do that. And the other thing is, for high school, it's like your child's English teacher and their maths teacher. They're going to be the ones who spend the most time with your child, especially the English teacher or whatever it is called in your high school. That teacher needs to have a 15-minute appointment with you. Okay, as a parent, because basically the teachers at a school will learn it's more time efficient for them to meet with you and to give your child what they need than to ignore you and have things go wrong and have you constantly hounding them. Okay, so we want to train those high school teachers that we're on their side, we're for them, we're going to give them info, but if you ignore us, well, we'll have to go to your boss. We don't say it like that, but that's how we roll. You know what I mean?
And you know, Michael, something else in that area is most schools will have advocates for people who are neurodivergent. So my school had a program called Inspire, and that program was full of people who knew how to work with neurodivergent people. And what was really nice is, like, once a week we would go into a classroom with them. It was a mix of like social but also check-ins, and we'd just talk about like what's been going on in the week. What do you need help with? How can we support you? That kind of stuff. And if there was ever a time where I needed that extra support, those folks were able to then advocate for me to the teachers. So I think getting in touch with advocates and support staff within the school is also a great idea.
That's really quality. And they'll advocate for you with the teachers who are switched on. The 50% of teachers in Australia who are not so switched on with autism, who are too busy, too burnt out, or just too frantic trying to get through each day, that's where a parent will need to go through the principal or deputy. Okay, so it's like, as a mum, you would hope, or a dad, you would hope you don't have to go through the principal or deputy to get your child what they need. But if the teacher's not giving you what what your child needs, then that's when you go to the principal or the deputy. How do you get past the gatekeepers, the people who are paid to keep you away from the principal and the deputy? Is you say to the person who's gatekeeping you, and they say, "Oh no, just talk to the year level coordinator." No, year level coordinator has no authority in real life. They can coordinate, but they can't make things happen. They certainly don't have a magic red button that solves things. So that's where you say the office lady or the gatekeeper, look, it is a high level issue, and it is a what's the word that means like a child welfare, like it's a child welfare and safety issue. I need to talk to the principal. Because let's be honest, it is about a child, and it is about their welfare and safety. It is honest enough that you can say that with integrity. And the principal or deputy just wants the problem to go away of you taking their time. So when you're like, this teacher over here's doing this, this, and this, that's triggering my child, I've actually already communicated with them, there's been no change, can you help? The principal or deputy will solve it. Whereas the year level coordinator, they get nothing from that teacher anyway, because that teacher's like the third one. But the principal or deputy have the power to just solve it. So if your child's teacher's not solving it, you go right to the top, principal or deputy. Ideally, you don't want to be in that spot. But as a parent, if your child doesn't have the social skills to advocate for themselves, which is most of our kids, and if your child's advocates are not advocating for them, that's an option. William, I guess when you say you went to high school and you had the skills to interact, you had the skills to reach out to your advocates and say, here's what I need.
Well,
that's awesome.
I actually didn't have all the skills, so that's a really important distinction. Is even though I had a bit more of the ability to say what I needed, it was still a lot of my mum communicating with the team. So it's definitely, I think, one of those. It's a two-pronged approach where in high school you want to start empowering your young person to speak for themselves, but you still need to be there to support them. There were definitely times where I would have fallen apart if my mom wasn't advocating for me in the background. And it can be really discouraging, I think, because sometimes, your young person doesn't appreciate what you're doing. Teenagers tend to get very moody. I was a very, very moody teenager. But I think especially teenagers with autism, because they don't have that social awareness of just how much their moodiness might actually hurt you, and they might forget to apologize. They might say things that are really, really unfair. But now I kind of have that ability to look back and really appreciate what my mum did, and I say thank you to her a lot these days because of it.
How cool is that? We're making up for lost time. No worries at all. Well, I guess what goes through my head here is most parents who I talk to, and I talk to a couple hundred parents every month. Most parents I talk to are very pessimistic about day one of school, or even day one of most things, because they're always trying to mitigate, what could go wrong, like what could be the triggers. It's like we need to assume things will go well. You've had a 15-minute appointment with a teacher to let them know what your child needs. You've given them the documentation they need, all the tips. You've arranged with them, ideally, a follow-up meeting for 3 weeks' time to check on what's working and what's not. You're going to re-email them in 2 weeks with an updated list. It's really same stuff, maybe a couple more bits and pieces so that it's forefront in their mind. And your child needs to hear from you that they're going on an adventure. It's not scary, it's an adventure. And then we as parents need to choose to assume the best. And the best may or may not happen. But heck, find me a child who doesn't want their parents to relax and assume the best. What's going through your head when I say that, William?
I totally agree. There's a statistic that it's something like 50% of the potential of a child comes from their parents' expectations for them. So if you're expecting the best of your child, if you're believing that they're going to be doing their best on their first day, the likelihood is they're going to do pretty well because they see you smiling, giving them the thumbs up. They're going to feel really confident. I think there is an element where, your young person's going to make mistakes. Even non-neurodivergent people make mistakes. And that's okay. Because you've gone and you've done a bunch of preparation for them so that when those mistakes happen, they've got that safety net, they've got that support there. So I think it's a mix of be really confident in your young person, because that's going to make them really confident. But also be confident in the people around them. Know that if there's a mistake that's going to be made, there's people there to support them. There's people to back them up. If they wander around not talking to anyone, feeling really lost, the teacher's going to swoop in and rescue them.
Well, that's awesome. I love it. And we have to live with that optimism. And schools are not big places that are trying to ignore your child. They're just a big clunky machine that doesn't have time to properly give your child what they need, no matter what school it is. So it's just about stacking the odds in your child's favor by being more proactive than other parents need to be, because your child needs you to be that. Will, I really appreciate that you've hung out with us today. I really appreciate that you've equipped us with some of your experiences, you know, going to school and stuff. And your mum sounds like a champion.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Can't wait to do this
wonderful.
with you. Awesome. Can't wait to do this with you again, Will. Let's see what other creative topics we can have a look at for helping parents who have kids with autism.
Awesome. See you then.
Hey, thank you for watching today's video. If you've had any experience with anything we spoke about in the video, feel free to leave a comment below. Sharing our experiences can be a great way to encourage people going through similar things. Also, if you like the sound of any of the programs we discussed in that video, feel free to check out our link below for more information on any of those.